Hello everyone. In this video we are going to discuss set number 4 from DILR section of CAT 2023 slot 1. First of all, you can take the screenshot of the given data and the questions. Try this set by yourself and then come back to this explanation video. Now let's start solving this set. First of all, read the given data carefully. The data is given in 3 different paragraphs. First of all, let's have a look at first paragraph. The schematic diagram below shows 12 rectangular houses in a housing complex. House numbers are mentioned in the rectangles representing the houses. The houses are located in 6 columns, column A, column B, column C to column F, and there are 2 rows, row 1 and row 2. The houses are divided into 2 blocks, block XX and block YY. The diagram also shows 2 roads, one is passing in front of the houses in row 2 and another is in between the 2 blocks. After this, let's have a look at the second paragraph. Out of these houses, some of the houses are occupied and the remaining ones are vacant, and they are the only ones which are available for the sale. The road adjacency value of a house is the number of its sides adjacent to a road. For example, the road adjacency value of C2, F2 and B1 is 2, 1 and 0. You can see over here for the house C2, there are 2 roads which are adjacent. This is 1 and this is 2. So the road adjacency value for C2 is 2. For F2, there is only one road adjacent, this one. So road adjacency value for F2 is 1. For B1, there is no road adjacent for B1, so the road adjacency value is 0. The neighbor count of a house is the number of sides of that house adjacent to occupied houses in the same block. For example, E1 and C1 can have maximum possible number of neighbor count of 3 and 2 respectively. Let's understand this statement first of all. If it is, let's talk about E2. For E2, the neighbor can be E1, F2 and D2 because the sides of E2 are common with E1, D1 and F2, but they are called as neighbor only if they are occupied. If E1, D1, F2, any one among these 3 houses is vacant, then that house is not called as neighbor house. So this point we need to remember carefully. The neighbor houses are the ones which are occupied and with which the side is shared. The base price of a vacant house is rupees 10 lakhs if the house does not have a parking space, and rupees 12 lakh if it is having the parking space. The quote price of a vacant house is calculated as base price plus 5 into road adjacency plus 3 into neighbor count. This is in terms of lakhs. For example, let's have a look at it. The quoted amount for the house is equal to base price plus 5 into road adjacency plus 3 into neighbor adjacency. The base price of a house is going to be either 10 lakh or 12 lakh depending on the parking. The road adjacency value is going to be minimum 0, 1 and maximum road adjacency value is 2. And the neighbor adjacency value, let's have a look at it. The neighbor adjacency value can be 0, 1, 2 and the maximum it can be 3. So this is how we can find the quoted price. After this, there are 4 additional statements are given. The first statement is the maximum quoted price of a house in block XX is 24 lakhs. The minimum quoted price of a house in block YY is 15 lakhs, and one such a house is in column E. So first of all, let's understand this statement number 1. The maximum quoted price of a house in block XX is 24 lakh. How we can make a 24 lakh over here? Let's have a look at it. If the base price is 10, if the road adjacency value is 2, then it will not be possible. Then if the road adjacency value is 1, so this is going to be 5 into 1. Now the remaining is 9 lakh. That 9 lakh we can form 3 into 3. This is the only possibility with the base price 10 lakh. If the base price is 12 lakh, then the remaining is 12 lakh. How we can form 12 lakh? It is 12 plus 0 plus 12. Not possible. The maximum value of this is 3 into 3, 9. That is 12 plus 5, 17. 17 plus 7. 7 is not possible. And 12 plus 10 plus 2 is not possible. So 24 lakh is possible only if the base price is 10 lakh and the road adjacency value is 1 and the neighbor adjacency value is 3. Now, how we can form a sum of 15 lakhs? Let's have a look at it. So over here, the 15 lakh is going to be 10 with non-parking. 10, if a base price is 10, the addition now we want is 5. So it is going to be 5 into 1. And it is going to be 3 into 0. Is there any other possibility? Let's have a look at it. Not with the base price 10, but if the base price is 12 lakh, then it is going to be 0 into 1. Then it is going to be 5 into 0. Hold on. The road adjacency value is 0 over here and the neighbor adjacency value is 3. The neighbor adjacency value is 1, so 3 into 1 is equal to 3. So for the 15 lakh, there are two possible combinations are there. And this house is the minimum value in the second block, in the block double Y. And this is available in column E. This value is a maximum value in block XX. Second statement says that in the row 1 has 2 occupied houses, 1 in each block. In this row 1 there are only 2 occupied houses, and out of 2 occupied houses in the block XX there is 1, and in the block YY there is only 1 house. It means unoccupied. There are 2 houses in block XX and there are 2 houses in block YY in the row 1. They are unoccupied. After that, statement 3, both houses in column E are vacant. So this is vacant, this is vacant. And after that, each of column D and column F has at least one occupied house. Each of column D and column F at least one occupied house. There is only one house with the parking space in the block YY. In the block YY, parking is available in only one house. So now let's have a look at the question. Which kind of questions are there? How many houses are vacant in block X? Which of the following houses are definitely occupied? And which of the following options best describe the number of vacant houses in row 2? So this kind of data we need to identify over here. So let's start solving this set. So over here, the maximum value of a house in block XX is 24 lakh. How we can use this data over here? Let's have a look at it. So for this house, the road adjacency value is only 1, means that house can be C1. That house can be C1, B2 or A2. But the neighbor adjacency value is 3. It means that house has to be B1 or B2. That house has to be B1 or B2, but road adjacency is 1, so that house has to be B2 over here. So for the B2 is a vacant, and for the total value quoted for the house B2 is equal to 24 lakh. And over here there are 3 neighbors. It means A2 is occupied, C2 is occupied, and along with this B1 is also occupied. It is given that in the row 1 only one house is occupied in each block XX and block YY. In block XX, that one house is B1. It means A1 is vacant and C1 is vacant. So we're done with the data of block XX. Now we need to check for the data of block YY now. Let's have a look at it. So in the block YY, there is only one house with parking. Column D and F. In the column D, at least one house is occupied. In column F, at least one house is occupied. And after that, the minimum value of a house in block YY is 15 lakh, and that is going to be in column E. So in column E, it is 15 is equal to 10 into 5 into 1 plus 3 into 0. It means the road adjacency is 1, so that has to be E2. And the neighbor adjacency is 0. So E2 can be a house with the quoted value 15 lakh. And the second possibility, 15 is equal to 12 plus 5 into 0 plus 3 into 1. So we need to check both the possibilities over here. So what we can do, hold on, let's have a look at it. So let's make two cases here. The first case is in the first case, hold on. If the 15 lakh is a value of E1, then it is a second case. Here road adjacency value is 0, means this one is with the parking. The neighbor adjacency is 1. The neighbor adjacency is 1. It means the one among D1 and F1. One among D1 and F1 is occupied and the other one is not occupied. In the second case, the value of E2 is 15. Over here we are assuming the first case, 10 is equal to 15 is equal to 10 plus 5 into 1, 3 into 0. Over here the neighbor adjacency value is 0. It means D2 is vacant. F2 is also vacant. And it is given that in column D and column F, at least one house is occupied, so D1 becomes occupied and F1 becomes occupied. But over here it is given that in row 1 there are only two houses occupied, one in each XX block and YY block. That is why this case is invalid. So this is what we can conclude from this much calculation. After this, what we will do is, let's have a look at few questions. Let's see how many questions we can solve depending on this. Question number 16. How many houses are vacant in block XX? So over here you can see that in block XX, A1, C1 and B2. These are the three houses which are vacant. So the answer of question number 16 is 3. Question number 17. Which of the following houses is definitely occupied? A1, no, it is vacant. D2, we are not sure. So A1 is not the answer because A1 is definitely vacant. We want definitely occupied. D2, we are not sure. 8. B1. B1 is definitely occupied. We can see that B1 over here is definitely occupied. F2, we are not sure it. So the answer of question number 17 is option C. After this, question number 18. Let's have a look at it. Which of the following options best describes the number of vacant houses in row 2? So number of vacant houses in block XX row 2 is already fixed. That is, one house is vacant over here. In block YY, one house is definitely vacant. Now we need to check for D2 and F2. So let's have a look at it. So over here, this 15 is a combination of what? This 15 is 12 plus 0 into 5 plus 1 into 3. It means how many neighbors are occupied? One neighbor is occupied. This is neighbor index. This is neighbor, hold on, this is neighbor rating, neighbor index, whatever the term used over there. So for the house E1, exactly one occupied neighbor is there. So let's have a look at it. So the first possibility is E1 is vacant, that we know. F1 is occupied. Okay, F1 is occupied, then D1 becomes automatically vacant because only one house is occupied in the block YY in the row 1. Now, in that case, at least one house in column D and column F are occupied. So, in column D, D1 is vacant, so D2 has to be occupied. Then, E2 is already vacant. Now, F2 we don't know, it is occupied or it is vacant as of now. F2 we don't know. This is one of the possibility. Second possibility is if D1 is occupied, E1 is vacant, E1 is having only one occupied neighbor, let's say that occupied neighbor is D1. Okay, in row 1 of block YY, only one house is occupied, so F1 becomes vacant. If F1 is vacant, then F2 becomes occupied because at least one house in the column F1 is occupied. Then E2 is vacant, that we already know, and D2 can be occupied, D2 can be vacant, we are not aware as of now. So from this what we can conclude, the number of vacant houses in block YY in row 2, they are going to be 1 or they are going to be 2. So over here the final answer becomes how much? 2 are definitely vacant. 2 are definitely vacant. There can be one more vacant in row 2. So the answer of this question is going to be either 2 or 3, that is option D. After this, question number 19 and 20. Question number 19 is, what is the maximum possible quoted price in lakhs of rupees for a vacant house in column E? The maximum quoted price for the vacant house in column E. So let's have a look at it. In block YY, there is only one house with the parking, and that is E1. E1 is having value 15 lakh. So over here we are talking about the house number E2. So house number E2 is going to be a house without parking, so the base price is 10. After that, now there is only one road facing over here, so the road for the points, the number of points, road adjacency point is 1 over here, and the neighbor adjacency points are going to be how much? The maximum number of neighbors that are going to be occupied for the house E2 is going to be how much? Let's have a look at it. The calculation we did in the previous question. The maximum number of houses occupied for E2, those are going to be, let me highlight over here, occupied neighbors. F2 is going to be occupied neighbor, D2 is going to be occupied number. The maximum number of houses which are occupied in the neighbor are 2 here. Over here, occupied and occupied, over here also 2. So the neighbor adjacency is going to be 2 over here. So the maximum possible quoted price for the E2 becomes 10 plus 5 plus 6, that is equal to 21 lakhs is the answer of this question. Question number 20, which house in block YY is having parking space? The answer is very straightforward. The answer is E1 over here. This is how we can solve this set.